I'm its head, and you're the legs. There will be times when the legs are more important than the head. So if I die, someone else will take over. What's important is the survival of the whole, not the individual. Together, we are the spider. Hello and welcome to Hunter x Hunter 101, the series that breaks down everyone and everything in the Hunter x Hunter world. And today, we are going to be zeroing in on one of the most infamous groups in the series, the Phantom Troupe. The Phantom Troupe is a collective of 13 extraordinarily skilled Nen users who warrant a Class A bounty, and were first introduced into the series during the York New arc, although they were mentioned by Kurapika way back in the very second chapter of the manga. The troupe originates from a junkyard civilization known as Meteor City, a location that does not appear on any map, nor do its citizens have any official record. It acts primarily as a dumping ground for other nations wishing to get rid of garbage or even people, estimated to be at least 500 years old, with the motto of "We'll accept anything you leave here, but don't ever take anything away from us." And it would be here that a young crawler Lucifer would form the Phantom Troupe and take a select group of at least 6 individuals out of Meteor City to commence a life of crime throughout the world. The confirmed founding members of the troupe were Uvogin, Feitan Porter, Franklin Bordeaux, Machiko Machine, Nobunaga Hazama, Pakunoda, as well as crawler Lucifer himself of course, and it also has been heavily implied that Finks Magub and Shalnark were amongst this original group, although the latter two are not confirmed. However, commencing their operations, the troupe would go on to recruit 4 other members and adopt the moniker of Spider. The reason for which directly correlates to the structure of the troupe members, as the 13 of them represent the 12 legs and 1 head of a spider. And yes, I know that spiders don't have 12 legs, but you try telling that to Crawler Lucifer. See how well that works out for you. This metaphor does, however, nicely explain the hierarchy of the group, with all 12 legs being considered equal, whilst the orders of the head are to be considered the utmost priority. To this end, each member of the troupe receives a tattoo of a spider designating their affiliation, and each sporting a number between 1 to 12. How these numbers are assigned or whether or not there are any great meaning to them is currently unknown. So for example, they don't represent the order in which people join the troupe, because one of the founding members, Uvogin, is branded with number 11, nor do they indicate the strength of that particular troupe member, because once again, Uvogin, as the physically strongest member, is still branded with 11. Regardless, the only real ranking that matters is whoever holds the position of head. The head is the only member of the group who has the authority to call a mandatory troop assembly, and they are also the only individual capable of punishing current members or adding new members. So with this structure in mind, the Phantom Troupe generally operate in the realm of thievery, stealing very rare items and using them to acquire vast amounts of wealth. However, this description doesn't quite do justice to the more brutal ends that the Phantom Troupe will resort to in order to complete their goals. The best example of this is probably when they conducted a systematic genocide of the Kurta clan for the sole purposes of harvesting the clan's famed Scarlet Eyes, which had been known to sell from anywhere between 900 million to 2 billion Jenny, and the possession of them are a symbol of status amongst extraordinary wealthy monarchs and businessmen. And due to the skill set of the Phantom Troupe, genocide is a fairly achievable task. Although that is not to say that troupe members cannot be defeated, because that is far from the truth. In fact, by the time they were introduced in the series, 2 of their members had already been defeated, with the number 8 Spider having been killed by Silver Zoldyck, who would go on to engage in combat with Chrollo as well, and the previous number 4 Spider having been defeated by Hisoka Moro, who went on to take the number 4 spot for himself. Speaking of new members, after the group left Meteor City, they acquired some new blood in the form of Manolanov, Kotopi, and Shizuku Murasaki, the latter of which was recruited to replace the number 8 spot. And this group now forms the makeup of the Phantom Troupe as they were introduced to us during the York New City arc, in which they acted as the primary antagonist seeking to steal an incredible haul of merchandise being sold off in an underground mafia auction. And during this effort, it was revealed that the Phantom Troupe is a bit more structurally diverse, with members being assigned to certain sectors of operations depending on their particular abilities. For example, there is a commando team who are responsible for frontline combat missions, and at this time it consisted of Nobunaga and Uvogin, 2 individuals whose abilities are highly adept at rendering people dead. Then there is also an intelligence branch that consisted of Shalnark and Pakunoda, as well as the cleanup squad, which consists solely of Shizuku. And this strategy was incredibly effective for quite some time, although the troops' plans were almost single-handedly foiled by Kurapika, the last surviving member of the Kurta clan, who had made it his mission in life to hunt down the Phantom Troupe, and who had thus catered his Nen abilities specifically to dealing with them. This conflict began when Kurapika was able to abduct Uvogin using his chain jail technique, which is an incredible feat because, as stated before, Uvogin was physically the strongest member of the troupe and had previously single-handedly dispatched a group of incredibly powerful Nen users known as the Shadow Beasts. In any case, you get the idea. Uvogin was strong as hell and yet pretty much helpless against Kurapika, to the point where he would end up being killed by Kurapika's judgment chain. Furthermore, by the end of the arc, Pakunoda would also go on to lose her life due to the same technique, and Chrollo would be rendered unable to use Nen or even contact the troupe, once again thanks to a very specifically catered judgment chain. And to add insult to injury, Hisoka also ended up leaving the troupe after after it became clear that his desire to fight Chrollo would go unfulfilled. And so the Troupe suffered a fairly overwhelming defeat during the York New City arc. However, they would end up banding together to remove Kurapika's ability from Chrollo, although the spiders would spend a fair amount of time headless. So much so that an interim leader would need to be chosen. And this event occurred during the Chimera Ant arc, when a former squadron leader named Zazan decided to build a hive in Meteor City and wreak havoc upon its residents. As a result, in a rare display of philanthropy, the Phantom Troupe returned to the place where most of them originated and exterminated the Chimera Ants, resulting in Phaeton becoming the interim leader of the group, as he was the one to kill Zazan. And it is here that we are going to put up the old spoiler warning for those of you who have only seen the anime and have not delved into the manga. Look, there's no guarantee that the manga is ever going to get another anime adaptation, but if you are still absolutely intent on not knowing what has happened, then please do skip to this time. But for the rest of you, let us continue. Eventually, an Nen Exorcist was acquired for Chrollo, and he returned to the position of head amongst the Troupe. And this Exorcist was retrieved by Hisoka, actually, due to his strong lust in regards to fighting Chrollo, a match which eventually occurred in Heaven's Arena, resulting in Chrollo's victory, and seemingly Hisoka's death. However, this was but a clever ruse from the magician, whose post-mortem Nen revived him, and he proceeded to kill both Shalnak and Kotopi. And currently, the Phantom Troupe are aboard the Black Whale 1, bound for the Dark Continent, with the goal of stealing treasures from the Kakin Kingdom, as well as extracting revenge against Hisoka. And very notably, they have also added 2 new members to their ranks, one of which is Kaluto Zoldyck, who took the number 4 spot after Hisoka left, as well as his older brother Illumi Zoldyck, who adopted the number 11 spot after having been hired by Hisoka to join the troupe in order to attempt to kill him. Some more fun facts about the Phantom Troupe. With so many strong personalities amongst the troupe, disputes are inevitable. However, there is a blanket rule that no serious fights are permitted, which means that disputes which cannot be resolved through discussion are solved through the system of a coin flip. In the non-canon film Hunter x Hunter Phantom Rouge, an original character named Omokage was introduced who was said to be the former number 4 of the troupe whom Hisoka replaced. However, I would once again like to point out that this is not canon, and the true original number 4 spot remains unknown. Rather interestingly, all known holders of the number 4 rank within the Phantom Troupe have proven themselves to be either treacherous, possess hidden agendas, or both. And this even extends to the aforementioned non-canon Omokage. The symbol of the 12-legged spider is well known in the Hunter x Hunter world, with some people even going so far as to pass themselves off as a member of the Phantom Troupe. However, what immediately gives them away is the knowledge that they don't possess, which is that all of the spider tattoos contain a number. During the York New City arc, our protagonist Gon was captured by the troupe and managed to impress Nobunaga so much that he even invited Gon to join the troupe, a proposition that Gon immediately refused. However, quite notably, this was not within Nobunaga's right to do, and it was later clarified that a nomination process would have had to occur, and that Chrollo most likely would never sign on to the idea of Gon becoming a spider even if he wanted to. Despite the troupe being world famous for Class A bounties, somehow the knowledge of Chrollo being its leader is not widespread, and he has been something of an enigma to the world prior to his actions in York New City anyway. Whilst the numbers of the spiders seem to have little to no significance, there is one solid ranking amongst the troupe, which is in regards to the wonderful art of arm wrestling. Quite notably, this contest is of pure strength and performed without engaging in any form of Nen use, but it gives us a good general idea of who amongst the group is physically strongest, with a couple of interesting surprises as well, such as Machi sitting crazily there just above Chrollo at number 6. Several of the Phantom Troupe members are based quite blatantly on iconic horror characters. For example, Franklin is rather obviously paying homage to Frankenstein's monster, while Spinolanov takes on the guise of a mummy, and Kotopi bears resemblance to a classical Japanese ghost, the most famous of which we would know is Sadako from the Ring franchise. In fact, you know what? You could even lump Hisoka in on this trend, given that he chooses to adorn himself as some sort of terrifying clown thing. And finally, a truly useless fact. Despite the fact that Chrollo originally ordered the Phantom Troupe to meet up in York New City on August 30th, they would in fact meet up on August 31st. And I honestly feel like that truly is one of the most useless things I have ever said in any video. But that pretty much does it for the Phantom Troupe. If you enjoyed this video and the content this channel produced in general, then please do consider donating to the NewWorldReview Patreon, because the support of all of you amazing people is what continues to make this channel possible. And if Patreon isn't quite your style, then please do leave this video a like, share, or subscribe, because it also helps support this channel an incredible amount. And if you'd like to join the fun at any time, then please do head over to my Discord server, where a wide array of shenaniganry takes place on a daily basis. And finally, please do comment with who, what, or where you'd like to see featured on the next Hunter x Hunter 101.